Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Darryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common.
All right, and when we first enter this space, most people should be kind of taken aback by, the height and, in fact, the drastic difference from the outside from when you walk in. And as we walk into the room, your eyes should be drawn up to see these gold-clad and brass-clad columns that have these decorative palm fronds that were all handmade. We're talking about Art Deco meets, 80s Miami meets a little bit of Copacabana and the Cotton Club when you come in here.
Little Harlem Nights, a little Scarface.
There you go, right? I love it. And then you'll see
We love to talk about places to eat here at The Common, and we're excited to tell you about a new Black woman-owned restaurant in the Seaport. It's called Grace by Nia, and it's another endeavor from Nia Grace, the owner of Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen. Now, this is a big deal because the Seaport is white as hell, and Grace signals, to us at least, that people recognize the lack of diversity in the neighborhood, and they want to change that. So we headed down to Grace, where Nia was kind enough to give us a tour and talk to us about the new energy she's bringing to the neighborhood. Enjoy. So, my first question for you. You have Darryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen, which has a reputation. It's known in the city. Tell me how Grace by Nia differs from Darryl's.
Well, I think that some of the key differences obviously are going to be the location. Mm-hmm. I think the scale of the business is also different. So literally the sheer size of it. When you come down to Grace, you're going to see that we're about 2.5 times the capacity in terms of what we're able to seat. What I think about Darryl's in comparison to Grace, though, I feel like Darryl's is the place where, yes, on a Friday and Saturday night, you'll often see a pair or a couple or girlfriends and guys dressing up and going out because it's their Friday and Saturday night out. But it just has so much more of a familial neighborhood feeling to get started, right? Yeah. And I think that that's because of how long it's been open and operating in the community and the relationships that we've built. I think when you walk into Grace, though, you're almost like, but it feels warm and this feels familiar, right? Yeah. And of course, what we know right now is we've been open for less than a month, and everybody who walks through the door is a new face. Yet, we've been able to invoke that familiar feeling. So, although it's different in name, different in neighborhood, different in size, we know how to make people feel warm and welcome and like, you're not a stranger. You're just a friend we haven't seen in a while or have yet to met.
Right on. And, Darryl's is... How I was introduced to Darryl's was like as one of those spaces in the city where Black folks can go and be amongst themselves. Yep. Do you see that carrying on here at Grace?
Absolutely. I also talk about how Darryl's has been one of the most diverse dining rooms in the city of Boston, and that goes for age as well as your demographics on whether it's race, background, right? If you live in a city or not. Equally, I walk into Grace and I said, okay, cool, we did it again, y'all. We have one of the most diverse dining rooms in the city of Boston. And what I talk about differently is that, most people are creating their businesses and they're doing it in the theme of some kind of food. Mm-hmm. And it happens to be in a neighborhood, right? So now you're trying to, placate to the customer base as you should, like your neighbors, right? Now you want to make something that your neighbors are going to enjoy. But I think really what we've experienced are businesses who also intentionally accommodate people of color. And so that's what I think you also get here at Grace, right? It doesn't matter the neighborhood that it's in. It's the same thing. It's the same theory from when we created Darryl's, is that we also created this with people of color in mind as well, right? Mm-hmm. For that they can walk in and feel comfortable in any room in the city of Boston, but particularly here.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the fees. I understand you have a different type of fee structure. Like, was it like $25 for? Talk to us about that.
So similar to Darryl's, we had an entertainment fee for whenever we have live entertainment present. We operate with live entertainment Wednesday through Saturday right now. So Wednesday through Sunday for if it's dinner service. And so you have your stage area. If you're sitting in front of the stage, there's a higher fee to be there. It's unobstructed views. You're locked into this energy and momentum right here in the stage. And this includes where we're sitting right now. We have our raised dining and bar area. And then we've got our gallery area and plus our standing room. And the fees go from $10 to $25. Yeah.
And that goes towards the musician.
It goes directly towards the musicians, the booking, everything that comes with promoting that entertainment.
Yeah, because, it sounds like not only this is a supper club, but it's like, it's a restaurant, it's a bar, but it's also a music venue in a sense.
It's a music venue and it's an artist outlet. And, one of the things in creating this space was to give another platform for our emerging talent that is local, hyper-local, right? For our students who are graduating from Berkeley or our recent graduates who have, really put their ensembles together and they're looking for outlets to share their original as well as cover music. When we talked about during the pandemic, when we lost team members, everyone was talking about essentially their service team members, their cooks, their managers. I lost team members with gig employees, right? Where all of our musicians then had no places, no outlets. So it was great to be able to come out of that, still having Darryl's as an outlet, but being able to create Grace as a next level for that.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Politics has never been stranger or more online, which is why the politics team at Wired is making a new show, Wired Politics Lab. It's all about how to navigate the endless stream of news and information and what to look out for. Each week on the show, we'll dig into far-right platforms, AI chatbots, influencer campaigns, and so much more. Wired Politics Lab launches Thursday, April 11th. Follow the show wherever you get your podcasts.
And we're back. After we learned more about what Grace has to offer, I wanted to get Nia's perspective on a couple things related to Boston's food scene: liquor licenses and workplace culture. Nia, I want to switch gears a little bit. Last year, the Globe reported that only 2% of on-premise liquor license holders identify as Black, when Black folks make up nearly 25% of the population. Why is it so difficult for Black business owners to get a liquor license, as far as from what you've seen? And have you seen any progress in that regard?
Yeah, I would say that the conversation about why it's difficult would be first knowing where to start, right? Like you can actually go to the city of Boston and say, hey, I want to get a liquor license. And they're going to tell you, oh, that's not something that we actually deal in. We govern the licenses, but we don't necessarily have a license for value to hand you or sell you right now. That's not the business that they're in anymore, right? We have a cap on liquor licenses that are for value here in the city. And so if they're all used and they're all being, operating on, well, then that's where we are, except for, our now Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, had introduced legislation years ago for restricted and neighborhood licenses. And so what that did, that allowed more people of color and women-owned businesses, et cetera, to get into the market with these restricted licenses. Now, what happens when those restricted licenses have now all been utilized? Now we're back to where we started, which is why we need that special legislation in the beginning. Yeah. Luckily, we have counselors Ruth Z. and Brian Worrell.
Ruth C., Louise Young.
Yes, and then Brian Worrell, who submitted another plea to get additional licenses in this market, right? And that'll create more opportunities. So the original question is, what is the struggle, right, to be able to attain the licenses? And so, one, it's about availability. Then it's about your network because, again, there are people selling licenses every day. But are we in those networks to know that they're for sale and be able to have an opportunity to pitch or bid on them? Then let's just say that we are happen to be in those networks. Well, now do we have the capital? I think licenses, when, at some point in time were available, they might have had a value of $250,000. And right now, some are selling upwards of $600,000 and $700,000, right?
So it's literally like buying a house.
So you got to buy a house, right? So now it's cost prohibitive. So between opportunity, access, cost prohibitive. And now it's legislation driven, right? So now I'm waiting for legislation to be approved from the city level, go up to the state, come back down for us to enact. And by the time all that happens, I might even lose momentum trying to wait for something that may not happen.
Right, wears you out.
Right.
And now I want to ask you a bit about what's happening right now with restaurant culture. Recently, there was the reports about the allegations against Barbara Lynch, the local celebrity chef, allegations that she was creating a toxic work culture, etc. So, as a restaurant owner, in the city with a reputation, how are you thinking about creating a work environment that is not toxic, right? That's something positive for the city's restaurant industry.
I mean, first and foremost, respect has to be in any environment. And how does that look? That looks like, I'm talking to you like you're a human. Like I've got to keep that in mind, right? Because I want you to talk to me in the same way. I am not going to behave any way that I wouldn't want to be treated. Now, will you hear somebody say that Nia is like wilding out in the kitchen? Yeah, but that's because I like to dance, right? Like you might see me wilding out dancing, right? But that's me. Like I want to have a great environment, right? Happy team, make sure that we're going to have happy guests, and happy guests means we're going to have return guests, right? And we're going to be a place that is full of life. Ain't no need to get into business if you aren't able to maintain the business and conduct yourselves accordingly and professionally. So, I mean, that's the demand around here. That's about the only thing that we're going to demand around here is that you are, professional and respectful.
So I want to ask you, Nia, in closing, 2-3 years from now, how do you see Grace by Nia?
Oh, man, I think 2 to 3 years from now, I think you're still going to be charmed when you walk in. I think that you're still going to be surprised by the people you see, the things you hear, and what you eat. I think that there'll be more than one option for this in a couple of years. And
we're going to see another Grace?
So, that's the goal, right?
Okay. Where?
See, I can't tell you all that, right? But
Martha's Vineyard.
I think, listen,
Oaks Bluff.
Go ahead and put it out there. You better put it out there, all that energy. Yeah, but I mean, this place was in a space that housed the Icon Theater. And so I think in 2 to 3 years, you'll truly see how iconic this business is for this area, for Boston, and for overall culture,
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. That's owner of the restaurant Grace by Nia Grace. And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. Have you been to Grace by Nia? If not, how bad do you want to go? Hit us up on Instagram at WBUR The Common, or send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. And now, it is that time for me to let you know that The Common is produced by Caitlin Harrop and Franny Monahan. It's mixed by Emily Jankowski, Matt Reed, and Paul Vikis. And it's edited by Samata Joshi and Ben Brock Johnson. And our theme music is Me by Hisu. And from the newsroom of WBUR, I'm your host, Darryl C. Murphy. I'll talk to you soon.